Hi, I'm Justin Pritchard. Do you like station wagons, traction, and lots of boost? Well, if so, stay tuned for an up-close look at this machine. It's the new Volvo V60. In a world where the market continues to be flooded by crossovers, those might start getting a little played out, which might mean that more and more shoppers after something flexible and winter-ready may wind up longing for something like a station wagon, like this new one from Volvo. If you're a Volvo fan, follower, or loyal owner looking to upgrade or add to what's in your garage, you'll find plenty familiar with this new V60. Like this four-cylinder that's both supercharged and turbocharged for big boost at any RPM, and that gives this little 2-liter a great big 316 horsepower punch, which goes to all four wheels via an 8-speed automatic. Or that instantly recognizable Volvo visual goodness, complete with signature styling cues and that handsome station wagon stance. Don't miss the telltale LED running lights either, not that you could. The interior fully capitalizes on Volvo's award-winning modern cockpit design, complete with aluminum stitching, accenting, subtle techie touches, and an atmosphere that's understated, elegant, and simple. The comparable German stuff typically looks richer and glitzier, and comes slathered with screens and interfaces and buttons. Many luxury car buyers wouldn't have it any other way, but if you're after something quieter looking and less busy, you'll like what Volvo's cooked up here. This giant do-it-all one-button touchscreen iPad display eliminates the need for miles of dials and buttons elsewhere, which makes the rest of the cabin look simpler and less cluttered, and clears up real estate for the designers to show off more materials and shapes than buttons and screens. The focus in here is more on the overall atmosphere than the finer details. Now, this big iPad thing is not my favorite. It looks great, it feels great, and it's very responsive, but it is just a little bit weird to sort of get used to it. And you will get used to it, and once you do, it's very easy to use, but expect that to take a while before this starts feeling like second nature. And that's my only real complaint about what's going on inside of this thing. No issue with space for 4 adults, there's decent storage nearby to keep your smaller items organized, rear seat headroom is pretty good thanks in no small part to a roof that's flat and tall all the way to the back, and that enables this useful cargo hold that's wide and square, accessed by a motorized tailgate, easily loaded and unloaded, and it sits at just right height for most anything to be loaded in and out easily. The seats fold down nice and flat when needed, and there's a cargo cover to keep your things protected and out of sight too. This might be one of the ultimate ski trip or cottage cruisers going, and even in bad weather. Specifically, that's because what shines in the V60 is what feels like careful attention to how this machine feels and behaves in slippery conditions and while cruising the highway, and especially when it's both of those at the same time. It is a magnificent long-haul cruiser. At highway speeds, there's no need to raise your voice for a conversation since noise levels are kept down, and V60 feels like a bigger and heavier vehicle too. Dense, solid, locked into position via the steering, which is most often a just right blend of weight and heft and responsiveness, and it does a great job of helping you stay centered in your lane with minimal need to readjust, and it feels sporty and frisky when you like, but without being hyperactive, jumpy, or fidgety. Brakes too, they're precise, have a confidence-inspiring pedal feel, and are highly responsive but not so much that they're difficult to work smoothly. Hard and fast ABS stops come quick and easy with no drama, and that's largely thanks to the excellent Michelin Excise winter tires mounted to this tester. As it tends to go with Volvos, the all-wheel drive system is excellent. Not surprising given that this swanky Swedish wagon and the all-wheel drive system bolted beneath were both designed in a country where people go skiing on their lunch breaks. There's no decision-making, nothing for the driver to do or to think about. Just put your boot down, point the steering, and let the electronics sort things out. In simple terms, the system feels like it knows precisely what to do and what not to do in every situation, and it gets the job done very effectively and feels pretty much invisible doing it. The worse the weather, the more you'll appreciate how it's set up. And despite the big performance punch available from this engine, V60 is very happy to just glide along gently, barely making a peep from the engine room. Or hammer down, where you're met with a proper shove into your seat that hits hard and sticks around until you lift. It is a 4-cylinder, so the sound isn't particularly fancy though. But this engine is very flexible and just as happy and gentle driving as it is being flogged. The 8-speed automatic is a little lazy at times. This keeps fuel bills in check, and you can engage sport mode from this dial if you'd rather it feel a little more feisty. If you'd rather increased fuel economy and refinement, then click Eco Mode, which sets things up beautifully for use by the light-footed drivers among us. So other than the exhaust note, this is a properly discreet rocket wagon. If you're wondering, the V60 is also more than happy to be chucked around your favorite snowy back road too. There are more athletic options available, but most of us won't be left wishing for better reflexes or flatter cornering here. I'll wrap things up by explaining the best thing about this machine, and that's how it feels when you're using it here, on the highway, for a long drive, possibly by yourself, and possibly where all you want to do is get where you're going, quickly and in comfort, and regardless of the weather. The simple cabin design fades into the background so you can more easily focus on the road ahead as every conceivable safety system backs up your attentive driving. It feels solid and dense around you, and all of the winter driving stuff, right down to these wipers that don't waste a single drop of fluid, is dialed right in. Headlights in typical Volvo fashion are stellar, ditto the seats, which are probably the best ones you'll sit in all day. And if you care for some tunes, then get this Bowers & Wilkins stereo. I've listened to dozens of high-end car stereos over the years, typically for many hours at a time and often more than once. And to my ears, this stereo tops them all for vivid clarity, a warm and bright sound, and plenty of firepower. There's even a sound stage setting you can select that simulates listening to your favorite music in the Gothenburg Concert Hall. It is a pricey option at $3,700, but if you're an audiophile looking to splurge, I promise you this stereo is worth every penny. Gripes? Well, just one that could be fairly major if you live somewhere with really crappy roads. Now, rolling on these 18-inch wheels with relatively thin tires means that ride quality and road noise levels can degrade fairly rapidly on rougher surfaces, so you might want to opt for a V60 with smaller wheels and thicker tires if you live somewhere where the tarmac is in less than stellar shape. With all-wheel drive and 316 horsepower, the top dog V60 Inscription starts in the mid-50s. Thanks for watching.